Americans are bleeding money, and they don't even realize it. Right now, in 2026, the average household is spending $1,200 more per month than they think they are. And I'm about to show you exactly where that money is going and how to stop it. What I'm sharing today isn't the typical advice you've heard 1,000 times about skipping coffee or cutting coupons. These are actual strategies that real people are using right now to save between $3,000 and $8,000 every month. And some of these methods are so simple you'll wonder why nobody told you about them sooner. Before we dive in, let me tell you why this matters more in 2026 than ever before. The economic landscape has shifted dramatically. Inflation has changed the game completely, and the old rules about saving money just don't apply anymore. Credit card debt has hit an all-time high at over $1.2 trillion nationally. Rent prices have increased by an average of 18% over the last 2 years in major cities. Grocery bills have nearly doubled for most families compared to just 3 years ago. Insurance premiums across the board have skyrocketed, with auto insurance alone up 47% in some states. But here's the thing that nobody is talking about. While all of this is happening, there are people who have figured out the system, and they're actually building wealth faster than ever before. The first major shift in how Americans are saving money in 2026 is the complete revolution in how we handle subscription services. Most people think they know what subscriptions they have, but studies show the average American is paying for at least 7 subscriptions they've completely forgotten about. We're not just talking about streaming services anymore. We're talking about app subscriptions that auto-renewed, software you signed up for during a free trial, fitness apps you used once, cloud storage you don't need, and meditation apps you downloaded during a stressful week 2 years ago. Here's what smart savers are doing right now. They're using aggregator tools that scan your bank statements and identify every single recurring charge. Some people are finding charges from companies they don't even recognize. One person I know discovered they were paying for a magazine subscription to a publication that didn't even exist anymore. The company had been bought out, rebranded, and they were still charging the credit card on file. When they canceled all the subscriptions they weren't actively using, they saved $437 per month. That's over $5,000 a year just from cutting services they didn't even know they had. But it goes deeper than that. The new approach to streaming services is what I call the rotation method. Instead of keeping Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, HBO Max, Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video, Paramount Plus, and Peacock all running simultaneously, people are subscribing to 1 or 2 at a time, binging everything they want to watch, then canceling and rotating to the next service. Since most of the content libraries don't change that dramatically month to month, you're not missing anything, and you're cutting your streaming costs by 70% or more. A family doing this effectively is spending maybe $25 a month on streaming instead of $120. Now, let's talk about the grocery situation, because this is where Americans are getting absolutely destroyed right now, and it's also where the biggest savings opportunities exist. The traditional advice about meal planning and using coupons still works, but it's not enough anymore. The real game changer in 2026 is understanding dynamic pricing and how grocery stores are using technology against you. Major chains have implemented digital price tags that change throughout the day based on demand, inventory levels, and even your shopping patterns if you use a loyalty card. What savvy shoppers are doing is using price tracking apps that monitor these fluctuations and tell you the optimal time to buy specific items. Buying your protein at 10 in the morning on a Tuesday might save you 30% compared to buying it at 6 p.m. on a Friday. There's also a massive shift happening with discount grocery chains and ugly produce delivery services. Companies that specialize in selling produce that doesn't meet cosmetic standards for regular grocery stores are delivering boxes of perfectly good fruits and vegetables at 40 to 60% off regular prices. The apple might have a weird shape, or the cucumber might be curved instead of straight, but it tastes exactly the same, and your body can't tell the difference. Families are saving $200 to $400 per month just by switching half their produce purchases to these services. The bulk buying strategy has also evolved significantly. It's not just about going to Costco anymore. Smart shoppers are forming buying cooperatives with neighbors and friends, where they pool their money to buy directly from wholesalers and distributors, cutting out the retail markup entirely. 10 families going in together can buy a month's worth of staple goods at prices that are sometimes 50% lower than even warehouse club prices. Yes, it requires coordination and planning, but when you're saving $300 a month, it's worth the hour of organization time. Here's something that's going to sound controversial, but it's saving people thousands of dollars. The car payment trap is one of the biggest wealth destroyers in America right now, and people are finally waking up to it. The average new car payment in 2026 is $749 per month, and the average used car payment is $528. People are locked into these payments for 6, 7, even 8-year loans. The revolution happening right now is people are aggressively paying off their car loans early or strategically selling their financed vehicles and buying reliable used cars with cash. I know someone who sold their 3-year-old SUV that they owed $28,000 on, bought a 10-year-old Toyota Camry with 130,000 miles for $7,000 cash and pocketed the difference. That Camry will easily run another 100,000 miles with basic maintenance, and they went from a $600 monthly payment to zero. That's $7,200 a year back in their pocket. The insurance industry has also become a gold mine for savings if you know what to do. Insurance companies are banking on customer inertia. They know most people set up their insurance and never look at it again. But here's what's happening in 2026. Insurance rates vary wildly between companies for the exact same coverage, and those rates are changing constantly based on algorithms and risk models. People who are shopping their insurance every 6 months are finding savings of 30 to 50% by switching carriers. We're not talking about reducing coverage, we're talking about the exact same coverage for dramatically less money. Someone with auto and home insurance could easily save $150 to $300 per month just by spending 2 hours twice a year getting quotes and switching to whoever offers the best rate. There's also a little-known strategy with insurance deductibles that most people get wrong. Everyone tries to get the lowest deductible possible because they're afraid of having to pay out of pocket if something happens. But here's the math that actually works. If you increase your deductible from $500 to $2,000, your premium might drop by 40%. Take that premium savings every month and put it in a dedicated emergency fund. Within a year, you've saved enough to cover the higher deductible, and from that point forward, you're just pocketing the difference. The insurance company is betting you'll file small claims. By taking a higher deductible and self-insuring for minor incidents, you're betting on yourself, and the math works heavily in your favor. Let's talk about the housing situation, because this is the biggest expense for most Americans, and it's where the most dramatic savings are possible. Rent has become absolutely insane in most cities. A one-bedroom apartment that cost $1,400 in 2023 is now going for $2,200 in many markets. But there's a counter-movement happening that's picking up serious momentum. People are embracing what's being called creative housing solutions. This includes things like house hacking, where you rent a place with an extra bedroom and sublet that room to cover a significant portion of your rent. It includes people moving to lower cost of living areas while maintaining remote jobs that pay big city salaries. It includes multi-generational housing, where adult children and parents are buying homes together and splitting costs. There's also a surge in people strategically using housing programs and incentives that have always existed but nobody knew about. First-time homebuyer programs in many states offer down payment assistance, reduced interest rates, and tax credits that can save you tens of thousands of dollars. Some cities are offering incentives for people to move to revitalize certain neighborhoods. There are rural development loans that offer zero down payment mortgages for people buying in less populated areas. The information about these programs isn't hidden, but it's not advertised either. People who do the research and apply for these programs are getting into homes they thought were impossible to afford. For renters who can't or don't want to buy, there's an aggressive negotiation strategy that's working incredibly well right now. Landlords are facing higher vacancy rates in many markets, and they're more willing to negotiate than ever before. Tenants who come prepared with research showing comparable units at lower prices, who offer to sign longer leases, or who propose paying several months up front in exchange for reduced monthly rent are getting significant discounts. Someone I know negotiated their rent down by $300 per month just by showing their landlord that similar units in the building were being advertised for less and offering to sign a 2-year lease instead of 1 year. The credit card situation in America is at a crisis point, but it's also creating opportunities for people who understand how to use the system correctly. The average American is carrying over $6,000 in credit card debt at interest rates that now average 22%. That means they're paying over $100 per month just in interest without touching the principal. The debt consolidation and balance transfer strategy has become more sophisticated in 2026. Credit cards are competing heavily for balance transfers and offering 0% interest for up to 21 months. People are transferring their high-interest debt to these cards and aggressively paying it down during the zero-interest period. The key is to actually pay it down aggressively, not just move it around. Someone with $8,000 in credit card debt at 22% interest who transfers to a 0% card and pays $380 per month will be completely debt-free in 21 months and save over $2,000 in interest. There's also a psychological trick that's helping people break the credit card cycle. It's called the cash stuffing method or cash envelope system, and it's having a massive resurgence. People are withdrawing their discretionary spending money in cash at the beginning of each month and dividing it into physical envelopes for different categories, like groceries, entertainment, dining out, and personal spending. When the envelope is empty, that category is done for the month. The physical act of handing over cash and watching your money decrease creates a psychological brake on spending that swiping a card just doesn't provide. People using this method are reporting spending reductions of 30 to 40% without feeling deprived because they're being intentional about every dollar. Energy costs have become a major expense that people are finally taking seriously. Electricity and gas bills have increased substantially, and they're projected to keep climbing. The solar panel revolution is real, but it's not accessible to everyone, especially renters. What is accessible to everyone are the dozens of small changes that collectively make a massive difference. Smart thermostats that learn your schedule and optimize heating and cooling are saving people 20 to 30% on climate control costs. LED bulbs have become so cheap that replacing every bulb in your house costs less than $50 and saves $15 per month on electricity. Unplugging devices that draw phantom power when not in use, things like phone chargers, coffee makers, televisions, and computers in standby mode, can save another $10 to $20 per month. There's also major savings in understanding time of use rates if your utility offers them. Electricity costs different amounts at different times of day in many areas. Running your dishwasher, doing your laundry, and charging your devices during off-peak hours instead of peak hours can cut your electric bill by 20% or more. Some people are even shifting when they cook dinner or take showers based on these rates and seeing significant savings. The eating out and food delivery situation is where Americans are hemorrhaging money without realizing it. The average American household is spending over $400 per month on restaurants and food delivery in 2026. A single DoorDash order that seems like it costs $25 is actually costing $40 after delivery fees, service fees, small order fees, and tip. That's a 160% markup over just picking it up yourself or cooking at home. People are cutting this expense dramatically by implementing a 1 or 2 restaurant meal per week rule and sticking to it. They're also using the strategy of ordering pickup instead of delivery when they do eat out, which immediately saves 30 to 40% on every order. Meal prepping has gone from a fitness enthusiast thing to a mainstream money-saving strategy. People are dedicating 3 hours on Sunday to prepare most of their meals for the week. They're making large batches of versatile components like grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, cooked rice, and quinoa, and then combining them in different ways throughout the week so they don't get bored. The upfront time investment saves both money and time during the week, and people are reporting savings of $300 to $500 per month compared to their previous habits of eating out or ordering in regularly. Healthcare costs are crushing Americans, and this is an area where knowledge truly is power. Most people don't understand their insurance benefits, and they're leaving thousands of dollars on the table. Employer-sponsored health savings accounts and flexible spending accounts are tax-advantaged ways to pay for medical expenses, but they're underutilized. Money you put into these accounts isn't taxed, which means you're effectively getting a 20 to 30% discount on all your healthcare expenses, depending on your tax bracket. Maximizing these accounts and using them strategically for everything from prescriptions to over-the-counter medications to dental work and eyeglasses is like giving yourself a raise. There's also a major shift happening with prescription medications. The same medication at different pharmacies can vary in price by 300% or more. Apps that compare prescription prices across pharmacies and offer discount cards are saving people hundreds of dollars per month. Generic medications are chemically identical to brand names, but cost 80 to 90% less. Asking your doctor to prescribe generics and using mail-order pharmacy programs for maintenance medications are simple changes with huge impacts. Transportation costs beyond car payments are another area ripe for savings. Gas prices remain volatile and high. People are using apps that show real-time gas prices and planning their fill-ups at the cheapest stations on their regular routes. This alone saves $30 to $50 per month. There's also a carpooling renaissance happening. Coworkers who live near each other are sharing rides and splitting gas costs. Parents are forming carpool networks for getting kids to school and activities. The savings are significant, but the reduction in wear and tear on your vehicle and the stress reduction from not driving as much are additional benefits. The buy now, pay later trap is one of the newest ways Americans are sabotaging their finances. Services like Affirm, Afterpay, and Klarna make it psychologically easy to buy things you can't afford by breaking payments into installments. But these installments add up quickly, and people are finding themselves with 8 or 10 different payment plans running simultaneously, which effectively creates dozens of new bills. The financially savvy approach is to avoid these entirely and use the forced waiting period of saving up for something as a natural filter. If you're not willing to save for it over a few months, you probably don't need it that badly. The side hustle economy has exploded, and it's not just about making extra money, it's about being strategic with what you do with that money. People are starting side hustles specifically to cover one major expense category. Someone might drive for Uber 15 hours a week with the specific goal of covering their entire grocery bill. Another person might freelance on weekends to cover their car payment. The psychological benefit of compartmentalizing like this is you know your primary job covers your core expenses, and your side income covers specific categories, which creates a sense of control and progress. Now here's where all of this comes together into something bigger than just individual tips. The people who are winning with their money in 2026 aren't doing just one of these things. They're stacking multiple strategies, and the compound effect is massive. Imagine someone who implements just half of what I've talked about. They cut unused subscriptions and save $300 per month. They optimize their grocery shopping and save $200 per month. They refinance or pay off their car and save $400 per month. They shop their insurance and save $150 per month. They reduce eating out and save $250 per month. They negotiate their rent down by $200 per month. That's $1,400 per month, or $16,800 per year that they've redirected from waste into either savings or paying down debt.